what's up? What's up, guys? Um, Trying to add my guest here. Thank you. Appreciate you. Just trying to add my guest here. Social media is kind of acting funny today, which is really fucking annoying. Finally. I'm so sorry about that.
Oh, Facebook has been acting up. I think every social media is acting up lately.
Yeah,
Uh,
because I just had a little. I didn't think I was gonna get you right now. I was acting up.
nah, it's all right. It's all
I'm
good.
just, I'm just
So,
being
hi
silly.
everyone. It's all right. I see you got the filter on. Like, this is so
I do that just because
out of
you
the
could do it to
ordinary.
me. Hey, all right. Uh, Let me start recording.
In the cameras.
No, it does that when I start recording. Okay, let's get to it. 1 hour.
Let's go.
Is my volume up? There we go. Volume's up. All right, guys. What's up? It's your favorite Jedi, BMF Goddess. I have the pleasure today of being here with MMA fighter, Junior, the Alpha Vargas, aka Jay. What's up,
What
Jay?
up? What's up? Thank you for
Um,
having me. It's an
Jay's an
honor. That's an
MMA
honor.
mixed martial arts fighter. Um, you guys, if you have your questions, you can just type them below. He's gonna answer them live. How you doing,
Oh,
Jay?
cool. Good, good. I feel great. I feel less pressure now because I just announced on Monday that I dropped literally almost for the past 2 years I dropped 50 pounds because the weight class I'm fighting for is 185 and I'm
Ah,
blessed that I'm still first right now.
congrats.
So I'm trying to drop more of the weight as much as I can as soon as possible so I can be ready for the fight in September.
What weight class are you going for? Cruiserweight?
I'm going. It's middleweight, which is 185er, but in amateurs they're doing it by the same weight class. So in natural weight, 175 is a welterweight and 185 is middleweight. But the way how Cage of Wars has it set up, I'm still in the welterweight category because I'm below 190.
Right.
So they're considering it as a welterweight for that organization.
Um, so most people are familiar with MMA, um, and UFC, which is the well-known company and brand that, throws reoccurring events. It
The
started,
big
it
league.
actually, it actually started in Japan's Shooto organization, founded by
Mhm.
Setsuro Tiger Mask
Yeah, kind of.
Sayama in 1985 as a realistic and effective system of combat derived from shoot wrestling.
Mhm.
But for most fans, excuse me, but for most fans, MMA as we know it started on November 12th, 1993 in Denver, Colorado, um, which was the night of UFC 1. And we're not
One.
up
Yeah.
to 200. And so, you know, um, we've come a long way.
We
MMA
just,
used to be a
we
lot
just,
more brutal as well, right?
yeah, we just,
Over the
well,
years.
just Saturday that just passed, it was 261, which was the headline of Masvidal versus Usman. So UFC made it pretty big, and that was a dream for me to join that. But I think because of my age, I don't think I will make it. But
Don't
there's
say
other
that.
organizations
Don't
that's
talk
giving me
like
a chance.
that. um, Overall, I love MMA so much because I believe it's definitely the toughest combat sport, and it's
Mhm.
super entertaining to watch. It's like it's the closest thing you'll get outside of two dudes in the street fighting, right?
Exactly. Yeah,
Um,
MMA evolved a lot over the years. Just earlier today, I listened to one of Usman's, Kamar Usman, which is the reigning welterweight champion. I was listening to one of his interviews, and he said it like, has time changes over the years. You and UFC one, you had a guy that was a master black belt in jiu-jitsu versus a master black belt karate, a master kickboxer. You only came in with one technique. And over the years, it has evolved so much that now everyone comes in with three different backgrounds, four different backgrounds, and it's something very special because this is something that God rest his soul, Bruce Lee wanted. He wanted everybody to learn the different disciplines of every martial arts, and everyone
right.
is doing that pretty well.
So, what's your fighting style or styles? What do you specialize in?
So I started learning Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu when I was 6 years old. And when I was eight, my dad had a friend that worked with him in the company that he used to work for in the early 90s, was actually teaching me the traditional Muay Thai style. And then back in 2010, I started doing 4 years of kickboxing. And then in 2012, so I'll say 2 years ago, 3 years ago, for 8 years straight, I've been doing Taekwondo.
Okay, that's dope. That's fucking dope.
Yeah, yeah.
You hear about
A
those
lot
things,
of
you know.
a lot of bruising, and a lot of opponents to deal with.
Sounds real fancy.
Yeah, it was
Um,
fun. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed every disciplines I learned. It was something I was always proud to learn them, and I had great teachers and great trainers and great classmates too. Because if it wasn't for them trying to elevate with me as well, I wouldn't be the martial artist that I am today.
right. And all that, takes part in the molding of your style.
Hmm.
Um, what age were you when you started training and how was it? What made you choose MMA?
I was 18 years old. I remember watching guys like Anderson Silva, Troy St. Pierre. That's when UFC was starting to elevate itself where it is today, and it was something that I wanted to do and give it a shot because as every kid's dream, they always wanted to be an athlete at something. Baseball, soccer, football, basketball. I was the only one in my group that I wanted to be a fighter. But boxing was definitely something I didn't want to do because I did enjoy, taking the person down, doing submissions. I did enjoy also mixing it up, like kicking with punching. And when I saw my first ever pay per view I ever saw was the headline of Tito Ortiz versus Chuck Liddell 2. And my boy was a huge fan of Chuck Liddell. And I remember watching it, and it was just like, wow, like this is insane. And in that same card, I saw Matt Hugh fight, and he was one of my inspiration fighters that I grew up watching. Him and Anderson Silva and George St. Pierre, and the
Oh
things these
yeah,
guys can do,
me too.
the things the
Those
things these guys
the
can do is just amazing. And I was like, I want to try this. I want to give this a shot because I have a martial art background. And there was, I know I'm gonna put somebody on the spot, but there was this owner named Mark. Forgot his last name. I haven't seen him in almost about to be almost 20 years. I haven't seen him. Um, he he was doing undergrounds for boxers, and he started doing undergrounds for kickboxers and martial artists to do it. And he was doing it around my neighborhood. He was doing it in Howard Beach, And there were certain weekends that we decided to go check it out. And because I was already 18, you have to be 18 and older to sign up if you wanted to try it.
Right.
And we decided to sign up, and these guys were hungry. Like they were hungry because during that time, New York was still not legalizing MMA as a sport, as a combat sport here in New York. So people struggling to join the organization like Strikeforce and UFC at the time, um, they were doing it very illegally in bars and underground. And that's where majority a lot of great fighters come from. They come from doing those type of stuff because that's what they wanted to do for the rest of their life.
Right.
And my first my first underground fight, it was a draw because me and the guy was starting to go at it pretty well. But that's when I saw the love of it. Like this is what I want to do. Like the competition, the the adrenaline rush of it is so different, and it's so rare to explain it because the moment the guy started hitting me, the moment I started hitting him, and he was
Yeah,
trying to get on the floor, it was
it's
just
crazy.
unbelievable. And I fell in love with it. And that's when I was like, you know what, this is it. This is what I want to do after high school. And but during that time, I had to take a break from it because I also not broke, but I end up catching at a young age two herniated discs separated when I was 17 from a jiu-jitsu class. Uh,
Oh,
the kid was the kid was promoting, I think, to a green belt, and to promote in jiu-jitsu, certain schools you have to do all the skills that you learn. You know, because certain martial arts you have to do your martial art katas, you have to do the forms. Jiu-jitsu is different. Jiu-jitsu you have to do a certain tradition of it. I think the kid got so nervous because his parents was there, and he was pretty big for a 15-year-old. And I was only 17, so I was older than him. So I knew how to control myself when a person wants to learn how to practice certain moves. And I guess his nervousness tends to, when you tend to break your fall, I'm supposed to land straight back. Same goes as professional wrestling. You have to learn how to straight back. Jiu-jitsu is the same way.
yeah.
And I didn't break my fall because the reaction of his was too quick. And later, second I know, he slammed me to the side, and I just remember landing on my neck. And after that, only thing I remember is waking up at the hospital, and I just already had a neck brace already on. And I was a little disappointed in myself because I knew what was gonna happen. I should have reacted quicker to stop it.
Right.
But it's like I said, this is not ballet. This is nothing safe. Even in training, you get hurt. Like it happens to a lot of professional fighters. Fighters that have been fighting before me, they have gotten hurt in sparring sessions and training sessions. So you have to expect it to happen one day. You can't just think like
Yeah.
everything's just gonna be
I was
perfect or
actually, I was gonna ask, what would you say is the hardest thing about being a fighter and how it affects your body?
is in all honesty, you expect injuries. You're gonna expect it. Like take for Saturday example, a former champion, Chris Weidman, broke his leg
It's
just
like
throwing a
it's
kick.
basically some form of injury is prominent.
Yeah,
It's gonna happen.
it, it's gonna happen. And if you already scared of getting injured, all honestly, don't fight because you know what you're signing up for. It's like signing for war. You're already sacrificing your body because you're putting your body on the line out there. Because I don't want to sound too cliche, but it's true what a fighter like Nate Diaz will say all the time when he's fighting is kill or be killed. You have to learn how to defend yourself and learn that you're not just you're responsible for your own health because you're going into a battle with a guy that wants to hurt you. Same goes with women as well. There's women in the sport that have gotten hurt because they know the risk. And all honesty, like I always tell everybody, if you're not high level of that mentality that you're gonna go through pain, you're gonna go through war, and you're not up there ready yet, don't do it. Don't go for it. It's not meant for you because these people thrive on pain and they go to war because they know that they want to be the best. They want to prove that they're the warriors that were meant to be in this world, and that's all that matters. Just be prepared that there are consequences that you are going to get hurt. And
Facts.
that's the
Mhm.
risk to take.
What is your MMA record?
So when I was Junior Vargas, so I'm going to fight in September with my actual name this time because as Junior Vargas, I am 14-1. I lost my first fight ever because I was very nervous that day.
That's
And
a
because
great
of my
record,
nervous,
though. That's a great record. You should be proud.
uh, yeah, no, I was proud because, of course, my to my second to my fifth fight, everything went on decision because I had to outperform the guy. But my trainer was starting to get a little disappointed in me after my sixth fight because he was like, "No, this is not who you are. You can have a good heart with your opponent, but once the ref says you're ready, that's your enemy now. Hurt him, destroy him." And trust me when I say this, trainers say that. They tend to
Yeah,
fire up their fighters. Don't think I used to get smacked before my fight starts.
yeah,
Like I'll be ready, I'll be pumped up. My trainer grabs me, oh, smacks me. He's like, "You ready? Wake up, wake up that animal instinct." And
exactly.
I'm already like zoned. Like I'm looking for him. I'm looking for my opponent now. I'm not. I start ignoring, because at the time you had like what maybe 100, 200, sometimes 50 people in the crowd because we're
Right.
only performing in small crowds. I turn that off and I turn this on and I focus on the guy. So 14-1, like majority of were decisions, but I will say no, three of them were submissions and at least four of them were TKO. I was blessed, and once I was doing TKO, they were starting to give me the name as an assassin because that's when I started playing smart. I
Hmm.
was moving ahead, and like I always say, fighting is like chess. So around when I made, I think 9-1, I started learning how to study my opponents and make the right move because if not, one day they're gonna catch me off guard and I'm gonna get knocked out. I'm gonna get submitted. So from there on, 14-1, yeah, it's decent, but I wish if I would have never retired in 2013, I think I would have probably went higher or maybe lose another fight. But who knows? Only
I
time
was,
would have tell if I would have never
I was
retired.
gonna ask that. When you stepped away, was it because of the injury or something else?
Injury was definitely one of them. My neck injury wasn't the only reason why I had to step away. It had to do with also my recta was detached on my right eye. But it happened during an assault that I went through in high school. Something that maybe I'll talk about like another day of another interview with you. So I was starting to react really slow when a kick or a punch was coming on my right side. So it was starting to get pretty bad on that. Even as people know, whoever like if my followers are watching this, they know that I play handball, and even when I play handball, when the ball's coming from this side, I was reacting slow during that time. Now my reaction is quick again, but I had to let it rest because I was starting to receive too many blows, you could say, on that side of my face. So I was not letting my recta heal the way I was supposed to.
Right.
And then there was another personal reason too. I was dating someone at the time, and the person didn't like it. So out of respect for her,
That
she
happens, and
and my mom was
I can't even knock you for it because once upon a time I started wrestling school at 18 and I
yeah.
stopped for the same reason. So I feel you.
Yeah,
Stupid.
it has to do with that. It was a stupid decision on that part, but I also had to look at it as my injury was starting to get a little more serious. And at the same time, I stepped away because on my last fight, a lot of people, like even some people were starting to hear rumors about this guy named Junior Vargas. And so my mom and my sister caught on to it, and they're like, "Wait, that's the name Jay uses when he's hiding from people." And they found out that I've been fighting for 3 years straight.
Oh,
And that explains why sometimes there's days that my mom had to bandage my wrist, had to put ice on my shoulder because she saw how sore and how bruised I was getting. They
oh,
were like, "Damn, that training must be intense," but they don't realize that there's certain training days that I was actually going to New Rochelle, Westchester. I was going to Yonkers. There was times that I had to go to Virginia and I was performing fights there because during that time, like I said, New York City couldn't do any
Yeah,
MMA
it was
fights
illegal
because it
here.
was illegal yet.
That
Yeah.
actually just
So
recently happened.
yeah, and so that's one reason why I stepped away. And you know, and the and my last fight in 2013, this guy was amazing. His name was I think was he was a Spanish dude too. Carlos. If I can remember his last name. Terrific guy. It was sad how he ended his fight career too, because he ended his career with me. We both retired basically the same day because we decided that it wasn't for us anymore. All I remember is that, you know, we were having a good fight. Like in the second round, we were just going at it, and I was having so much fun. Like when I see that the opponent is having fun with me, like we're gonna go at it. And he kicks me on my head, and I just remember just spinning. And because of my Muay Thai background, I know how to angle myself right when I want to use my elbows. And during those times, and especially in an amateur league, you're not supposed to do as much as what the professional, like the professional MMA fighters do, like UFC. Because in UFC, you can elbow and shoulder and do anything on the ground or up. Here, you have to be a little bit more safer because we don't want to injure the fighter more before they get to the big league.
Yeah.
So all I remember is I spin, and I guess my body reacted, and you could say it as a joke inside, since I'm an anime fan. I kicked in Ultra Instinct, you could say, and I just spin, and when I clocked him in his temple, all I heard was a drop. And when I looked down, he was out. And
That's
I'm like hoping he wakes up because, like I said, martial arts is a very dangerous weapon. And if you don't perform it right, you could hurt someone, or worst in case scenario, you could permanently damage them in a way that they won't be the same. So the guy ended up getting a second degree concuss later on the night. His concussion got pretty bad, and he ended up getting a crack on his skull that I didn't know I did that. But then that same night, I got the MRI, and I found out from doing that move, these two part of my shoulder to my left side of my neck snapped the disc back out. So I end up hurting myself by doing that move. So the way how I feel like it was karma for hurting him, I hurt myself as well.
it's not karma.
So
It's part of the game, the sport.
part of the game.
It's
But
part.
that's what I used to say. That's what I used to say a lot. And but since then, and luckily they opened a gym here in Howard Beach, and I saw him there, and I saw that he's still in shape, and we spoke about that night, and he said it. He's blessed that he's like, I don't regret that night. I think I fought one of the greatest opponent. You're like, you know, he gave me a lot of praises that I was very well gifted, and I was happy about that, you know.
That's
But at the same time, like,
he
you know, at the
wasn't.
same
He
time,
was
like,
a good sport, you know, because
yeah, he made it.
you straight cracked the shit, and he gave you
Mhm.
props.
Yeah,
That's what's up. I like that. Good sportsmanship
yeah,
is very important in these type of sports too. So
yeah. It was amazing.
you're making a comeback in September. Why?
Yeah.
What prompted
Uh,
the comeback?
at first it was because I feel like I had nothing to lose, and I wanted to try myself to see where I'm at today. Now that I'm a little older and I'm getting a lot smarter with the fight game, so I wanted to use my experience and my techniques to see if I'm still up to this level. And it's like what I said earlier about what Kamaru Usman said. These fighters are evolving. They're not the same how they were yesterday. They're like the tomorrow fighters can beat the crap out of the today fighters because they're evolving. Their techniques are mixing up even better, and it's getting more precise. So
So
I when I heard
unlike
that,
wrestling, it's actually progressing. It's getting better.
it's progressing. It's getting better. Yeah.
Love that.
So I'm excited. The guy's a little bit younger than me. He has, I think, a 10 or 11-0 record, so he hasn't lost yet. So why not test myself for the guy that's undefeated and he has a lot to lose because I know he's not gonna want to lose his record. But I was happy to hear that he's just a striker. But let me not jinx myself because maybe he could surprise me, taking me to the ground, and we could wrestle
Right.
it down, see
Always
who
gotta
has a
fight
better
like
upper hand. But as same goes with him, he hears that I have a better ground game than him, so he's probably thinking, you know what, let me stand up with him. But in his mind, he doesn't know I could probably outstrike him at one point. You know, that like that's one thing about fighting. You can never blink because every fight is unpredictable. And Saturday, UFC proved it, like how unpredictable the fights were. Everything ended in the first and two rounds. And it ended with fighters that outclassed them of the technique they're known for. Like Kamaru Usman outstrike a striker that's one of the best pound for pound boxer in the UFC, and he outstruck him. Kamaru Usman was known as a wrestler, and same goes with Namajunas outstrike a Chinese kung fu Muay Thai fighter, very aggressive, and she just gave her a one head kick and she went down to the ground. Valentina Shevchenko representing, her Peruvian side. I got to represent my Peruvian side for September. She out wrestled Andrade, and Andrade is one of the greatest black belt in Brazilian Jiu Jitsu, and she controlled her in the ground. And she's very strong too. And Valentina proved everyone wrong that she could be strong as well. So that's why I said, like, this is a very unpredictable sport. And yes, it's a scary. It's okay to be scared of it, but at the same time, it's okay to jump forward with it if you're mentally prepared for it. So now that I'm training, I'm mentally prepared. I've been watching some of the guys' video. Um, the guy, we met a couple of times because we wanted to make sure that we have the fight going on. We got to make sure there's other fighters that's going to fight in the same card. And so far, I found out, I think, what was it, 2 weeks ago, that we're the co-main event. So we're going to be the second last fight. Um, because he has certain fan base, so people are going to want to wait to see him fight. And I think the main event is going to be a heavyweight fight, so it's going to be two big guys going at it for the belts.
right.
So it's going to be exciting. I can't wait, and I know for win or lose, I will make a decision that same night if I want to keep going or I just wanted to see where I'm at. That's all
Okay,
that matters.
fair enough. What are some of your goals? All right, well you said you're gonna decide that night, whether you want to keep going. So
Hmm.
I asked, what are your goals continuing forward?
Well, for inspiration of you, I want to open up my own podcast, but I want to do it with my boy because we want to do it as a team. Hopefully we launch it soon, even though with the pandemic, everything, slowed down with a lot of people's plans and ideas, but doesn't mean that we're going to stop. It just gave us a little bit of a slowdown. So we're trying to speed it back up to get to that. But my biggest goal, I always wanted to open up my own MMA gym. If I was never going to be a fighter again, I was ready to train fighters. And I'm ready to go at it and be the trainers that my trainers were with me. Hopefully I could be as successful as they were, and push younger guys that are, and even women, because I know women are elevating the sports as well. Hope
Hell yeah, that's
they
coming
are,
up in MMA a lot.
yeah, and I hope if they're hungry for success and if I could push them to be the coach, I hope I could do it. And hopefully, soon I could open up my own MMA gym and start training these guys so they could be somebody that I couldn't be, you know. So
So
that's what I'm ready for.
do you think that if you don't continue to fight, that you will be interested in training other people?
Yeah, I definitely would be because, for instance, I remember when I used to take because I was training Taekwondo when I became a brown belt to a red belt in Taekwondo. I started training the Taekwondo kids in the school. And the reason why, because my sensei in Taekwondo, he has so much confidence in me. He has so much trust in me. And he wanted to see how I was with students. And he loved the fact that I was very strict. I was very old school. I made sure these kids wasn't messing around, like because martial arts is all about discipline.
Oh yeah,
And two of the
Absolutely.
And two of those kids came up to me and they were like, I want to do UFC. And I was like, oh, you want to be a mixed martial artist? Okay, come here at 5 in the morning. Let's see if you're serious. The kid is only 11 years old. Literally told his mom, drop me off at the dojo at 5 in the morning, and she did.
Aw.
Put that kid to work, and he was hungry for it. Like he learned how to. Like I had to get him a smaller version, like a duffel bag, to pretend as a punching bag, because he had to carry it, slam it down. He was hungry. That kid wanted it, and he proved it to me that day that he wanted to do it.
That's so
And sadly, when the dojo got sold out because there was problems with the rent and everything, I haven't heard from the kid, but I heard he's still doing martial arts. But he says that if he does get into the big league, he's definitely gonna look for me to be one of his head coach to get him ready if he wants to do MMA. So
that's
we'll see how that goes.
it's awesome. That's an awesome feeling, isn't it?
It's a great feeling. That's what I love about martial arts is when I see kids improving, and it's not because of me. Is in
What
all
you
honesty, you have to.
Oh,
What
I'm
happened?
sorry. Somebody said, oh, Kiara, she said to put this on YouTube later. For those who missed this, it's always on YouTube later. By tomorrow, I'll have it on YouTube. So no worries.
And I'll share it and post it up on my bio so you guys can click it and check it out.
So Jay, what's the hardest? I mean, what's on the mind of a fighter when he's in that octagon, moment to moment, during the fight?
It can be a lot of things, but the main thing is you have to have confidence. You can't be cocky. You can't. If you're walking into an octagon, or for instance, me, we didn't have an octagon. We just had a circle cage because it was a little bit smaller, and we're not that much of a big league to be in an octagon yet. But when we get in the ring or in a circle cage or even an octagon, your mind has to be confident that you're ready to fight. You're ready to win. You go in there too cocky, there is a chance that you're gonna make one mistake. You go in there, you can be nervous, but once you go out there and you freeze like everybody out, like even your own coach, sometimes you gotta like close your ears from them a little bit and focus and feel the environment that you're in here. You deserve to be here. Now it's time to prove everybody why you're there. It's
Right.
a great feeling. So that nervousness is there, but once you're opponent, the confidence has to be there. You have to have that mindset that I gotta fuck this guy up. I gotta whoop his ass before he whoops mine. And if you don't have that mindset, you do have a chance to fail. And I think that's something you don't want to do when you go into the cage or even in boxing. In boxing, you have like Mike Tyson, take the greatest legend of all time. He goes in there with a killer instinct. And that's why some fighters and his opponents that he had always lose because they're already going in there with fear. Like, damn, I'm fighting a killer. You're already doubting yourself. Don't ever doubt yourself. Look, Yoel Romero, bigger than Adesanya, but Adesanya had the confidence to try to outlast him, and he did. Paulo Costa was bigger than Adesanya. He knocked him out, and people complained that he was too skinny. Doesn't matter. You just have to have that confidence, and once you have that confidence, you could be as much as successful as any other fighter in the world.
Real talk. Um, so you guys, the sport of MMA is much more dangerous when compared to any other combat sport, in my opinion, at least. What I mean by that is the risks that are involved are way more dangerous, as far as the actual fighting. You're not that protected. Any wrong hit could put you in a really fucked up position. Um, do you ever get fearful or nervous about this?
Around 2012, yeah, I was very nervous because when you're doing amateur, you actually have a shin guard. So that actually is a padding on your legs to not hurt your shin or trying to do damage on your calves and everything because the shin guard is already protecting. It still hurts. Don't get me wrong. Like I sparred with friends with shin guards, and the moment they hit thighs
Same
or
here
my
with my
ribs, they hurt a lot. So,
oh,
but when
I hit in
2012
the
they decided,
region, and then they
when
hit you
they,
with flicks going at full speed.
oh yeah, of course. That's why when we started doing Muay Thai, when I started doing Muay Thai, my trainer was such like he was such a psycho, but love the man. I hope to God he's doing good. He was an older gentleman too. He was only in his mid 50s when I met him, and I was only 8 years old. But when I was 12, he used to grow because he's from Thailand, and he used to grow banana trees.
Banana.
And in the banana trees, he used to bring them to my dad's job, and he'll take me to his hotel room. And his hotel room, he already had it set up as a MMA. Like he had like punching bag. He was ready to train me, and he was training another kid that his dad worked there too. And literally, what he used to do, he'll put the banana tree like this, like he'll make it as a stick, and he'll be like, "All right, stand there," and he'll just tell us, "All right, start kicking," and we'll kick, and you'll see us as 10 years old, our shins will be bruised to the bone, and that just tests us how strong our legs could be. And so in 2012, I was scared, not for me, but mainly for my opponents, because if I kick the crap out of them and I could break something, it's it's something that you have to really worry about, because if that happens to that person, that means one of these days it could happen to me. You know, I could break my leg, I could break my arm, I could break my shoulder. You know, especially I'm going in with a 4-year neck injury. The guy could slam me wrong, break my neck right there on the spot. You know, it is a scary thing, but and it's like I said earlier, you know, you have to have that mindset that you have to hurt the opponent more than they're gonna hurt you.
Right. That's great advice. Mega High said, what was the hardest thing to learn in Muay Thai?
Getting hit with a bamboo stick every day. Like my trainer Lynn. That now I remember his last name, Lynn. He used to grab a bamboo stick like this size, like he'll have it like this, and he'll have our arms like this, and he'll hit us here, like 10 here, 10 here, and then 10 on your shin. That was the hardest for me. I was not looking forward to that, but what I liked about Muay Thai is everything was bare knuckles. We couldn't practice with gloves. And if you notice, if you look at every Muay Thai fighter, a lot of my friends that do martial arts around here notice that I have more of a Muay Thai background than Taekwondo because of my knuckles. Now, if you see the difference between the knuckles of boxers, you barely see these sharp. So these were sharpened by bamboo sticks and by banana trees. So for a reason why, because when you do a backhand fist, you're meant to crack the person's face with these knuckles. So you
Yeah.
see boxers and usually kickboxers as well, their hands will be swollen. They look like sludge hammers. Don't let that fool you. That could hurt, but this hurts more. When the pure knuckle is sharpened and is pointing out like a Wolverine, you could say, one connect, that bone is cracking your whole jaw out. So that was the hardest part about Muay Thai. He was very old school, very old fashioned. Mind you, during the times of early 2000s, you didn't have all the equipment that you have now. So you just had to get ready. If you have a traditional Muay Thai trainer, he's gonna whoop your ass. He's gonna make you prepared. And that's why one of my goals is I definitely want to travel to Thailand, because I do want to train with those Muay Thai fighters, because they are unbelievable and
That's the
they
real
are
deal.
so in shape,
The
and
real deal.
and that's a dream. That would be a dream come true to actually join those guys, go to Thailand and fight them. And hopefully I have permission, since I see someone just logged into our conversation. Hopefully I have a permission to go for like at least a month to Thailand and train with these guys, because these guys are so amazing fighters, and they even train kids that are like 5 to 4 years old. And these kids, I could tell these kids could whoop my ass, you know, because how they train them over there.
What's up,
But
40?
that's the hardest thing you can do about Muay Thai. Just be prepared of the brutal training you're gonna go through, because the brutalness is no jokes.
And I advise you to get prepared to get hit on your arm and your legs with a bamboo stick or even a banana tree stick because they still hurt. And just thinking about it, I starting to feel those pain a little bit again.
Um, I'm not adding no one to this video because I'm doing a specific interview. But anyway, that was pretty much it. What time are we on?
Hmm? We did like a 40-minute, 50-minute interview almost.
Yeah,
It's
I that
5:03.
was all the questions that I had for you. If anyone else has any questions,
Well,
in
I
the
saw a couple
meantime,
people
you want to
right.
plug us into the September show? Or give us the
So
info.
I so I just found out we were gonna do it at a community college gymnasium in New Rochelle, New York, but they decided to change the location because they don't know what will happen because of the pandemic. You know, Cage of
Yeah.
Wars haven't been performing in front of people for a long time because of the pandemic. Because again, we're not a big organization. Uh, they're glad that they're gonna have me back soon. Um, but they're thinking about moving the location to Pennsylvania or probably in New Jersey.
Okay.
We have no information yet. You know,
Do you know
anything
if
can
it's gonna
change. You know,
if
we're
they're gonna you know if they're gonna at least record it? That way you can have it.
what was that again?
Are they gonna at least record it? That way you can have it, to share and
Yeah,
stuff.
so they're thinking about either putting it live on YouTube or put it live on Facebook. They don't want to do live on Instagram because there might be some music in the
Oh
background and they
yeah.
don't want to have the disclosure of Instagram shutting them down. Facebook is the same way, but Facebook is not as strict, so they're thinking about doing it Facebook Live. So we're gonna see. I know I'm gonna definitely invite my friends around. I'm gonna invite, hopefully this person wants to come. She will probably record it, and I'll make sure they record my fight live. Like I said,
Okay.
it's not a big organization. We're not gonna be on
I
pay
want
per
the
view and
I
nothing
want
like
the
that.
aftermath interview.
Oh, you definitely will. You probably might see me bandage or with a cut, but I'll be excited because they're planning on. So they were thinking about doing it in September 11th, but one of the fighters that is also fighting in the same card might not make it that night because I think one of a family member died in that event. So he thinks he won't be mentally prepared if he fights the same night because he doesn't want to risk losing and then he lost to, he's losing and he's disappointing, the person he's close to. So they were planning on
Yeah.
doing it September 11th, but since September 11th is going to not celebrate, but more for the 20 years of the event, they might have to do it the week after. So they're going to see what they're going to do because they're focused on is the pandemic right now. Like, everybody's getting vaccinated or some people are getting vaccinated, some are not. So they're trying
Yeah.
to make sure everybody's good and safe and make sure we don't get shut down again because and then there's no point of promoting it if we get shut down again. But they are sure for us to fight in September. They're more focused on the fight that's happening in July. So from there on, maybe in July, if they announce that the September fight is on, then that's when we're gonna start promoting it. And that's when I'll start posting it and the guy's gonna start posting it, and then you're gonna hear more about me and my opponent. So we'll see how that goes. I saw questions there. I don't know.
Yeah. Mega High said, "What are your ground techniques? Are you focusing on that?"
Oh, my ground techniques. My main techniques I like doing on the ground. I like catching people off guard with knee bar. I love catching the legs real quick. And that's what I like to do with a guy, especially if they're a kickboxer or they have a lot of great striking abilities. I always like to go for the legs because the moment you slow them down from the legs, their movements is going to be different. And when you slow down, let's say for example, my opponent, he's not big on submissions. He doesn't have a jiu-jitsu background, but he does have a little bit of wrestling background, but it's not as a high level as his kickboxing techniques. So his kickboxing is amazing. I have seen him punch in the bag. I have seen him, train at my trainer's gym a couple times. He's really good. But wrestling wise, um, I think in submission he will have a hard time with me because I'm more dangerous, to be honest, on my back because I know how to control the person's momentum.
Yeah.
Um, and to do rear naked chokes, it's so easy to do it, but to be honest, that's the one submission that a lot of strikers are participating. Like they see it coming now. I'm noticing it on UFC. I'm noticing on Bellator when I watch these
You know
guys.
your shit.
Rear,
You know your shit.
rear naked is so easy to read that it's coming because if you're a striker, of course the main goal, you don't want to give a guy that has a jiu-jitsu or a wrestling background, you don't want to give them their back too much, and you're not expecting them to give you their back. So, oh, thank you.
Thank you for
Yeah, you
being
ask good,
here.
yeah, you ask good
Please,
questions, man.
please do subscribe to BMF Goddess or follow me
Yeah,
here.
definitely,
My info's there on YouTube. I got a lot of
definitely.
cool
If
shit
you
there
guys
and
got
more cool shit to come.
Yeah, and just to let you guys know, me and BMF Goddess, this is not our first show. We did a show, I think a month ago almost,
Not the
that
last either.
we spoke about WrestleMania. So I am a huge wrestling fan as well. I love every sport that has to do with whooping your ass. I love it. It's it's competitive. This is something
What's
that
up,
I
Vince
I
Beagle?
enjoy watching.
You're next.
But but if you guys want to
Goldberg
keep asking
voice.
me questions, yeah, go ahead. Ask me a lot of questions you need. Um,
I got you,
oh,
Mega Heist.
appreciate it. If you want to keep asking questions, but I'm just giving you a hint. What's his name? Mega Heist. Don't go for the rear naked choke, bro. That shit is so easy to read now. Like a lot of strikers are reading that now. I
Oh,
remember. If I have time, I'll give you guys a little quick background. In 2012. A lot of takedowns are getting easy read now from that year till now. Like now, that's why a lot of wrestlers are focusing on trying to strike now more, so they can mix it up a lot better with their both techniques.
right.
And in 2012, there was this guy. Me and my friends, we created a group called Warrior Nations, which meaning that all martial artists were welcome there, and we were going to meet up at the park, and we were all going to spar to see who was the better fighter out of the group. And not even that; it was more of how much we could elevate by fighting. Let's say, for example, should you ever, let me read this. Should you ever fight any of the Gracies? Actually, I have. My original coach was Lorenzo Gracie. He's one of the cousins of the Gracie brothers, and
Oh,
they
shit.
are insane, greatest martial artists. And trust me, if any of the Gracie brothers would have won to challenge me, if you were smart, you'll say, hell no. These guys are one of the founding fathers that elevated the UFC. So no, thank you. The reason why I love jujitsu so much. And if I would have ever fought those guys, I know for sure my arm or my leg is getting broken or
You're
they'll
supposed to
choke me
be
out.
like, you're supposed to be like, challenge accepted.
No, we don't challenge. You don't challenge the guy that feeds you. You don't challenge the hand that feeds you. They fed me these
Facts, facts,
knowledge.
facts, facts.
So in all honesty, listen. I always tell everybody this: what Kamaru Usman said is true. But you got to remember, masters and grandmasters, they also evolve. Don't let that fool you. They're still learning. They're learning newer techniques that not even you would ever heard of. So me challenging a master, I know for sure I'm gonna lose because they're gonna know something that I haven't learned yet, and that's why they're masters. They don't teach you all the things that you learn as you're ranking up in your level. But
Uh, so would you
so
at
would you
least
at
fight
least
Sakuraba, the AKA the Gracie Killer?
actually I wanted to. Like when I was a kid growing up, I'm like I would love to challenge that guy because he killed my heroes. The Gracies were my heroes. You know, Matt Hugh was my hero. GSP is always going to be my idol. You know, he's the truest legend of the UFC. And if I ever get a chance to fight any of these legends, it will be an honor, win or lose. It's like me fighting a guy that brought me in this world as who I am. And these are the reason why I love martial arts, because these guys paved the way for fighters like me, fighters like anybody that wants to get up there to continue going. And that's what these guys are doing as well in the UFC. Guys like Nate Diaz, he showed that people from the hood could be MMA fighters and rise up to the occasion. Guys like Conor McGregor, he was a nobody. He slept in his car and he made it to the big time. And now, if you heard the news, he sold half his share of his proper 12 for 600 million. That is a motivation that we can make it. You know, guys like, for instance, Kamaru Usman and Israel Adesanya and Francis Ngannou, three African people that say they were going to go nowhere, and they are our champions. They are our UFC champions. They
Right.
make it. That means we could as well, and that's what inspires me when I watch these guys. And just to give you guys a heads up, martial artist doesn't mean you were a dangerous dude. 90% of every martial artist, they were all bullied. You know, they're still humans and they were bullied, and martial art saves them. And that's what these guys paved the way to, to show us that martial arts doesn't mean you need to be a badass. It just means that you know you're dangerous, but you're still helping others and motivate others and inspire them to be the greatest that you can be today. And who taught me that was the greatest, Anderson Silva, when he used to quote that all the time. Being a martial artist doesn't mean you're a dangerous man. It
Never
just proves
fail.
that you can be whatever you desire to be. And same goes with Will Smith. Will Smith said some quotes earlier today. I was watching some of his videos because lately I've been watching a lot of inspiration videos because I'm preparing myself mentally for this fight. Whatever your mind is set, you got to go for it. And like I said, I would love to fight all these legends that you're mentioning, Mega Heist. Like, I would love to fight these legends, but I know for sure if it was their prime and my prime, I'm probably gonna get my ass whooped because these guys have more knowledge than I do. And I can admit that as a true warrior I am. I know if I find someone, here's the one thing that people need to understand as a fighter. There's always that one guy in your life that's gonna be better than you. And your job is to reach up to his level to try to outbeat him that one time. And it only takes, and it's like what Rocky Balboa was saying in his movies. It's one round, one punch at a time. You have to outlast them. You outlast them, it proves that you're the greatest. And it's always going to be like that. And like I said, take what I was saying in my story earlier. In 2012, the guy wanted to grab me in my leg. He forgot about my Muay Thai background. I jumped, lift one knee up, and cracked him in his jaw. Everything could be red as long as you can outlast your opponent, outread your opponent. You're going to be the greatest martial artist. Even in boxing, you can be the greatest boxer. And I want to say this from the bottom of my heart. I'm not going to apologize for this. But YouTubers, stop fighting. You're not fighters. You are disappointing people like me, people like my boy Miles, people like my other friend that's named Miles, people like us that paved the
Wait.
way as fighters coming up. So I don't like Jake Paul. I swear to God, if anybody buys the pay-per-view of Logan Paul versus Mayweather, y'all are fucking dense because I swear to God, y'all ruining the fight game for that. So all honestly, please, YouTubers. And I found out, what's his name again? Austin McDoom, whatever, from the Ace family. I found out that douchebag is fighting. Guys, don't believe the hype. If they want to fight real fighters, I want some $1 million. Fight a fighter like me. And I promise you, you're going to have even a better show if these guys have the balls to challenge actual fighters. Don't challenge a TikTok
No.
guy. Don't challenge all of them. Just stop. Stop. That needs to end. YouTubers, stay in your lane. Stay as YouTubers. You're entertaining enough. but please don't embarrass the fight game. Boxing and MMA is sacred to us, and
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 very
it's a
much,
spitting to,
very much.
and it's a spitting to the face like guys like the Gracie brothers. It's a spit to the face like the Shamrock brothers. It's a spit to the face to Muhammad Ali, Roy Jones. Spit in the face to De La Hoya. It's a spit in the face to Mayweather, and I don't know why he's entertaining it. It's a spit in the face to them, the guys that didn't have nothing and became somebody by fighting their whole entire life. Guys like Miguel Cotto, guys like Tito Trinidad, guys like Manny Pacquiao. These guys paved the ways, and these YouTubers are me pissing off by doing that.
Thanks for that.
I'm gonna put it out there. You guys feel some type of way, man. Go fuck
Thank
yourself
you,
and
Mega
support.
Heist.
You know,
On that note, this has been very interesting and amazing. I love everything you've said. You're very humble and knowledgeable on the sport. And I want to thank you for being here and sharing with us. Jay, you're awesome. And
thank
he'll be
you.
back. He'll be back for future stuff.
And thank you everybody for the support, and please follow BMF Goddess. She's a great interviewer. I know she's gonna make it big out there.
Thank you.
Hopefully, sooner or later, she'll probably sell her podcast to Spotify the way how Joe Rogan did for 100 million. Who knows? It's all possible. So I just want to say thank you. I know you interviewed a lot of great, interesting people, and I'm honored that I was one of the people you wanted to interview. So thank you for that.
All right, everybody. You already know the vibes.
All right.
May the force be with y'all.
Thank you.